Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to show you how I went from this mess to this. This is just, I can't tolerate this anymore, this trying to grab tools out of this big mess of stuff. So I've decided to build a wooden truck box with drawers and a slide so I can organize this mess. We're gonna start by getting everything out of here so we see what dimensions we're working with and kind of do a little brainstorming to make sure I know what I want. So I have an 8-foot bed. I just bought this truck about a year or two ago maybe. It's just a 2-wheel drive, but it's a heavy duty 2500, so I should be able to haul a lot of tools. Got the mat pulled out, sweep that off good, and gotta sweep the back of that out. We gotta get the rest of this stuff out. Well, now we're ready to start planning, but I think it's about enough for tonight. We're gonna start by laying out some boards in here and kind of seeing what length we want to go with. I got 2x12s. I may cut these down a little bit though. That's gonna be a lot of storage. Okay, 8 feet brings us about 2 inches from the back. I think I'm gonna go for 90 inches overall length. So I'm gonna cut my 2x12s 90 inches and then work from there on everything else. Just cutting the ends off so I have a nice fresh end with no splits. That'll give us a few inches of play here at the end or at the front. I just bought a roll of outdoor carpet to put in the bottom of the drawers. Just keep a little padding in there. I bought a whole sheet of this HDPE plastic, and this is what I'm going to use as a slide on the bottom of the drawers. This stuff wasn't cheap, but I want to make sure everything works good when I'm done. This is, I think, what they call, is it 23/32? It's over a ½ an inch by a little bit. We want the fronts of our drawers to kind of hide in this box here. So I'm going to make this bottom 3/4 of an inch longer so that it has a little bit of a lip that sticks out the front. We're just going to make it an even inch. Give us something to play with. So the next step in this process, when I get that sheet of plywood on the bottom, then I'm going to put a sheet of plywood on the top, ½ inch thick. Then I'm going to make a slider that will slide out so I could put things on top. To facilitate the sliding, I'm going to mount these casters on these rails here. To do that, I'm going to router out some little pockets here that these casters can be mounted in so that they kind of sit recessed in there and poke out through the plywood. I got to figure out where I want to place them and then get my top sheet of plywood cut and also get pockets in there. This is the thickness of my plywood I'm going to be putting on there. I want these wheels to come about right where those pins are, so that's going to leave about 5/8 of an inch sticking up, and that means I gotta take this pocket about 3/4 of an inch deep, and that will give me about the right height. So I got to go around here, mark out where I want my wheels. So 45, 25, and 5. 25 and 5. And then I'm just going to take one of these and just scribe my lines here. So we have our depth set. I'm going to start by cutting those recesses out with this, and then I might run a router across it once I'm done. It'll be a little faster than trying to route them all the way out. So we're going to set our saw depth here, 3/4 of an inch. All right, I think we're going to do this on the ground so it's a little more stable. So then what we'll do is we'll take a hammer or something, pop these pieces out of here. One more to do here. Now I should just be able to take my router here, set to 3/4 and clean those up. I happen to have a bunch of these screws. I'm going to try them on this and see if they work. That one's stripped out. Probably more appropriate screws. All right, I'm just trying to get this all lined up so I can screw the bottom on. I got some 2x4s on the floor because I got the wheels on there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get another hand. Maybe not. I'm pretty hard-headed. I think I'm gonna go ahead and screw the outside ones on first and then try to work on the middle one. And I'm going to use 1 5/8" screws. So I'm just gonna put one on the end here so things don't move around so much. All right, now I'm gonna line up this end pretty much flush with the edge of the board. I want my board to be even with the side. Put a couple more in. All right, now we're gonna work on this side. Put one in the middle. Put one about halfway in between. I got this board secured. I can work on this one, getting this one where it goes. Now this one I want to get right in the center because I want my drawers to be the same size. Start off by just marking the center. Okay, so we're going to put a screw down here so this side doesn't move around while I adjust the other end. Now we got to get this one straightened up. It's about dead center. Put a screw in here so it doesn't move. Now we should be able to put the rest of our screws in. So just to make sure our board in the middle is in the center, I'm measuring from the outside of that board to the outside of my 2x12 here. So we have just a little bit of bow, so we need that board to come this way just a tad. So I'm gonna take a piece of wood and just put it in there and push it over just a little bit. At least that's the goal. It's not off much, but let's see what we got here. Yeah, that helped a little bit. We're gonna call that good. So now I'm gonna come right in the middle here, put a screw so it holds everything in place. These are exterior screws I think I'm using right now, but regular drywall screws would probably work too. Okay, now I gotta get this thing flipped over so I can work on the other side. I guess there's an advantage to having wheels on it. Just gonna bring it on out here and flip it over. My garage door isn't up high enough. All right, before we go any farther on this project, we got to get our plastic cut to go in the bottom of this where the drawers are going to slide. Otherwise, once we get the top on, we won't be able to get to this part. So I got a piece of plywood here to lay it on so we can cut some strips. What I'm thinking is about a 2-inch strip on the outsides where the drawer is going to slide. And I might even put one down the middle. I'm not sure yet. And to facilitate getting a nice straight strip, I'm going to take my saw here and I'm going to build a couple jigs here so the saw will run right along the outside of this piece. So my jig's gonna sit kind of like that. And now I need to drill some holes through here, make a slot, same thing on this side, so I can bolt this to my saw and then make a ledge here that it rides on. So I'm going to clamp this to my saw so it doesn't move. There we go. Now we have our holes. So I decided to go with these self-tapping screws. Self-tapping screws and these washers. I already got 2 of them in, so we just let them do the work. So now our screws are ready to go once we get our board ready. Okay, so this first one's for the head of the screws, and I want it to be just deep enough just to keep the head underneath the surface, 1/4 inch, something like that. From center to the edge, 3 inch. So I need 3 inches from my mark so that this comes out right on the money. So I don't have a plunge router, so this is gonna be a little tricky getting started. I kinda gotta plunge it by hand manually. So that's what we end up with, a nice slot where our screws can sink down in there. So we gotta do that to the other side. So I walked off down here a little bit because I don't have this board secured. I should have got another clamp so this whole thing couldn't slide, and I started walking away because it was moving away from me. All that matters is that there's a slot for those heads to sit in. It's just a fixture for the saw. So now that we got that original slot in, now I have to get a different bit in here and make the slot all the way through so we can adjust it as needed. This is the smallest one I have right now, so I'm gonna have to use it. And this is where I really got to make sure I stay straight or I'm gonna have problems. So same thing, 3 inches to center. That went pretty good, except for I didn't get quite deep enough, so I got to drop this down a little bit more. This one's not very pretty. I should have extended my line out here, so I made sure I was in the center because it looks like I was over a little bit. Anyway, it's there, it'll work. That one turned out a little better. Got this piece of wood from something. It's already painted, so it'll make it nice and slick, which is good. 13 inches. So we just got some longer screws here, and these actually have heads on them, so I probably won't even need the washers. So we're gonna slide this jig. Oh, I didn't leave myself enough adjustment. We're gonna take and cut this area out here so we can adjust our edge over a lot closer. Didn't think that one through far enough. So I put a couple holes in here, and now we're gonna cut in between them. Wow, that works just perfect right there. Quite the diversion from getting this project done, but we really needed to get a jig to do this. You'll see why, I think, in a minute. We are finally ready to adjust this. We want to make sure it's square, so we're scooting this over. I want to measure 2 inches from this edge because I want my pieces to be 2-inch strips. Just a fuzz over 2 inches, so it should be perfect. Now I just have to get my piece clamped down. So this is the idea here. Use that to kind of guide my saw. So we're gonna leave a little more than 2 inches hanging over. Try to clamp it kind of close to the edge here without getting in the way of the saw. Nice, very nice, very straight. Should come out really good. So now we're just gonna move this over a little bit more and cut another piece. Well, actually several more pieces. This plastic has a rough side and a smooth side, and obviously the smooth side is the one we're going to have up. I went ahead and just cut 3 for each drawer. I'm just using a paint scraper and just going to pull these burrs off the edge of this. There's still a sticker on here. We want to get that off. That'll probably cause us problems. This paint scraper works pretty good. rather than a razor blade and cut myself. In case I haven't mentioned it yet on this video, this is probably not the cheapest truck box. I haven't figured it out, but I bet I'm gonna have close to $500 in it. But I wanted to make sure that I ended up with something that was very usable and sturdy. So I just got the materials. I didn't skimp like I normally do because I'm hoping to be able to use this for a long time. At the end of the day, I'm still saving money. These are the screws I got to hold this plastic down on the bottom, and we want it below the surface obviously, so I'm going to try this center drill. This is like a machining type tool, and I'm not even sure it's got the right angle on the end, but we're going to try it because this might also drill me a hole at the same time it drills me a chamfer. This is one of them times I wish I had a drill press. I need to cut these to length because I just got thinking I cut my bottom a little bit, so I'm going to measure what that is and we're going to cut this accordingly. Alright, I'm going to use a soapstone, looks like this, try to mark this. Ooh, that doesn't even mark very good. Just to give me an idea where I'm at, so I get these somewhat the same. So, and I'm just going to use a piece of OSB to drill so I don't drill through anything and go to town here. I'm not putting a ton of pressure because I don't want it to all of a sudden grab, which it can do. Just nice steady pressure, especially once I get through. I just take it real easy on the chamfer so it doesn't drill me a huge hole. We'll come back and fix them if we need to make sure the screws go deep enough. I probably could get by not pre-drilling these holes, but I don't want to take any chance of splitting out anything, including my plywood. So I'm probably going to drill these, pre-drill these holes. So I'm going to start out by just putting one screw in down here to hold it in place so I can drill my other holes. So now I'm just going to keep that strip pushed against the side there and drill my other holes real quick. I'm just drilling a little bit of a hole, not all the way through. My pilot holes are even kind of going to be at an angle because I can't get right up against the board there, but it's better than nothing. All right, now we'll put screws in. So far, they're all going below the surface. This piece is on here to keep the integrity of the whole box so it doesn't do this and keep this whole box from getting twisted. We want the same size on both. Pull this way just a hair, put our screw in right there. A couple other things this does, keeps the boxes from sliding out past the back, and it will also kind of be a handle when we go to put this in the truck. All right, now we're ready to get this sheet of plywood over top of those casters. I've already measured here, and this from the edge to this first recess is 4 inches, 24 inches, 44 inches, 64 inches, and 84 inches. So I'm going to go over here and mark all my recesses out in the middle as well so that this can just fit right over top of there. What we want to do is get an 1.5 inch by 2 inch area here for our wheels to stick through. All right, so just a simple rectangle there, and then I'm going to cut that out, and then I can just draw it in real quick wherever I need one. All right, so I should be able just to put this right where it goes here. This is a pretty rough thing here, but it will work. Okay, now I'm just going to drill some corners and then bring my saw in and finish it all off. Okay, I'm going to use this router to just clean these up so they look a little nicer. We're gonna flip this over just to make sure you don't have any burrs that are gonna cause trouble. Sometimes it chips all this out. What? That caster was put in wrong and it's not lining up. Ah! How did I mess that up? Oh, look at that. How did I end up that far off? Oh, that's frustrating. So I'm gonna have to fix that. Everything was going really well. This is the stuff you run into, guys. You're gonna make mistakes. So I gotta measure that and cut that in yet. I don't even know how I didn't notice that until now. It's supposed to be 24. So I need to end up right here, and rather than have a little part right there, I'm just gonna go ahead and shave all this off. Don't tell anybody I made this mistake. No one will ever know when we're done because it'll be covered up. That's what we handyman do sometimes. But in the end, that's really what matters, is that everything looks good and works, of course. Now I'm gonna make a big mess in here though. Didn't want to do that either, but gotta get our blades set again. And so this is just to get a majority of the material out of here, and we'll finish it up with the router. Gotta make sure we don't go too deep and ruin this. Now that I got that figured out, now I just need to get this right where it needs to be. Put a screw in here on this corner to start us out. Line up all of our corners. All right, got the box built solid. So now we just have to build the drawers and get the top slider built. So our wheels are sticking out about 5/8 of an inch. Okay. Yep, right like that. All right, I think we're gonna play it safe and go 21 3/8. And then a height, so it's 11 from the top of this black plastic. So we're not gonna cut that super short either. We're gonna go 10.5, so we're gonna give us a 1/2 inch of play. Yep, 10.5 is gonna be the height of our drawers. Okay, I'm gonna flip this over. It has a little bit of a bow up, and I want it to bow down, if anything. Our drawer is going to be 10.5 inches high, and we got to figure in the bottom thickness. The bottoms are going to be 1/2 inch, and we're also going to have carpet, but that shouldn't add a whole lot. So that means these are going to be 10 inches. So we're going to be cutting some 10-inch pieces for our side. I have this little work stand here holding this in so it doesn't drop on me. 1 down, 3 to go. So we got our 4 long sides. Now we got to cut the ends. 7.5 left over. We might be able to get all the ends out of one strip. So they'll also be 10 inches, so same process. Okay, our ends will be somewhere in the vicinity of 20 inches. So that means, yeah, we should have 4 ends out of that piece. Our drawers are going to be, however long this is, our drawers are going to be 90 inches long. 90 by 21 3/8. Our drawer bottoms are going to be this exact dimension. My drawers are going to be 90 inches long, and I'm going to have 3/4 ends on them. So I'm going to have to take 1.5 inches off that dimension. So it'll be 88.5 inches. Okay, so now we're ready for the ends. So our ends are going to be all the way across 21 3/8 exactly. All right, I probably need to get the carpet on these before I go any farther. This roll of carpet here, 6 foot by 8 foot, so it should be enough to do this. If it's 8 foot, should do 2 of these. What? That's really frustrating. It says 6 by 8 foot. Oh, wait, I do have to cut this though. I haven't cut these pieces yet. So they're still too long, but they're still less than 8 feet. So our bottoms are only gonna be 90 inches, so we will have plenty. Okay, now it's time to glue this carpet on here. And I've never used this spray adhesive, but that's what we're gonna use to at least tack it in place till we get the sides on. So I am going to rough cut it just to make sure I don't have a big mess to deal with when I'm trying to actually tack it on. We'll trim it up after we're done, but there we go. Now it'll be a lot easier to handle that when I get it sprayed. Okay. Keep pulling. Keep pulling. Okay, and let go. I think we got it. Thank you. Perfect. That should hold it in place. Now I'm just cutting the extra off so I can line my sides up better so I'll be able to see what I'm doing. It's easier to cut afterwards if you leave it overlapping at least about an inch. All right, so we got our carpet on the bottoms of the drawers. Now I'm going to take the sides of my drawers, and before I assemble them, I'm going to take and make some grooves in here so I can insert partitions once I get it assembled. So I want to do it when it's apart, obviously, because I can't do it once it's together. So I'm just going to mark off some sections that I think will be handy to use and use my router. So I have a 3/4 inch bit on here. I'm actually going to mark these at every 6 inches. So I'm going to label this as the front so they're all the same. So I'm just going to measure 3 inches farther than this, put a line here, take my square, put it on the line, take this, put it on the line, square it up, and then I'm clamping it here, and that's where I'm going to run my router. We don't want to make these slots very deep, but we do want to have enough that it holds our pieces in place. So once we set it, that's how they're all going to be. This is going to be a little bit time consuming, but in the end I think it'll be nice. So we're making the inside of our drawers the rough side, so the outside will be nice and smooth. Moving on to the next one. So we got 12, so we're marking at 15. Take our square, take our piece, clamp it down. All right, we're just gonna lay this out, see how everything looks. I think we're gonna go ahead and pre-drill some holes here. Okay, we gotta pull these in. As you can see, that's what I'm dealing with because I have plywood. It's not real straight. But once we get that end on there, then I'm gonna take a piece, at least one piece, and screw it here in the middle so it'll pull those sides in. I might do it more than one place, but it'll all get straightened out here. Now before I go any farther, I'm going to cut a piece for the center so I can pull the sides in. It looks like about 1/4 inch deep, not quite 1/4 inch. We're going to go 20 3/8. I have to cut another strip to be able to do this, so I'm going to set this on the ground for now. nice tight fit. All right, we're gonna put some clamps on here. I'm gonna come right underneath here so I can pull this together. Okay, now I'm gonna fill the bottom and make sure that it's flush. Flush on that side. Flush on that. All right, now we're gonna put a couple screws in. Now I should be able to take the clamps off and put the rest of them in. All right, now I gotta flip this over because the bottom is where the bottom of the drawer is gonna be attached. So we're gonna flip it over so we can lay the bottom on top. So I think the whole thing is a little bit curving this way. So I think once I scoot it over, I think I'll be okay. So see, it's doing this number right here. See, it's sticking out on this side, but it's good on the ends. And then on this side, it's under this. So I think it's just all curved, which is also what you get when you use plywood. So we're gonna start putting some screws in the corners and then adjusting this. This is probably why some guys don't show you the whole process, because there's a lot of adjustments you have to make along the way. And they make you look kind of dumb. It's just part of it. Now I got that lined up. Now I think I might even put this on its side. Let gravity help me a little bit. Oh yeah, that's definitely helped. I'll lay it back down, see what it looks like. I think it looks pretty good. I know I'm taking my time, but I'm trying to make sure everything gets put in square. All right, the moment of truth. We're gonna see if we can get this drawer in here, see if we figured right. This might be embarrassing. Oh, that's a good feeling. Slide's pretty nice. I mean, I know it don't have any tools in it yet, but let's just see. I'm within a foot of it being completely out all the way. So yeah, I get a handle on there. Should be pretty easy to pull out. It's a little tighter on this side, so I just want to keep that in mind on my next one. Make sure I'm within the, make sure my sides are pulled in plenty good. The other side is real nice, so we'll just leave it on the other side. This will be the left-hand drawer, and then we'll have a right-hand drawer. Yeah, it slides really nice on this side. Okay, so I just thought I'd show you what's happening down here. I went to screw in and it just split the wood out instead of grabbing. If I keep this up, it'll probably do that all the way up. So what I think I'm gonna do is drop a piece in between here to screw this to hold that together, because I don't want to cut another piece, and then screw this in just to give it more support. Okay. So we had that little hiccup there. I reinforced these corners here, but I have these little tips coming out where the screws came through, so I'm gonna grind them off real quick with this fine little air tool. All right, I'm gonna see if this drawer will fit now that I got it done. So I would say each drawer weighs about 50 pounds. Okay, sweet. I think for now I'm just gonna leave my drawers like they are. I might add a face later, but I don't really know if I will. This is a work truck. This is a work toolbox. cut a couple pieces to divide this up just to get it started. And now I'm putting a screw in each side just to kind of keep the drawer together. I can come back in and change these positions anytime I want, add more screw spots. This just gets me started in my tool organization. There we go. Just so you guys know, I think I'm going to remedy this problem. I'm going to put more screws in. I got 5 sets of screws over 8 feet, and I'm just going to have to put some more in here. So that's going to be fun crawling in there and doing that. Got the drawers pretty much built. I might put some more dividers in. Before I get too much farther, my truck is 8 foot long, my bed. So I went ahead and made an 8-foot box because I wanted all the room in the drawers. But the problem is when I'm pulling my enclosed trailer, I can only pull my drawers out about 4 feet. That leaves 4 feet in here that I can't get to. If my trailer's not on, it's not a problem, but if it's on, then I can't get in here to get the tools out of the back. And I'm probably gonna keep things that I don't use very often back there, but I gotta get back there to get it. And I don't wanna have to unhook my trailer every time to do that. So what I'm gonna do is cut some openings in here so that when I need to get to the back of the drawers, I can push them in. And then I'm going to have access through here. I'm going to have a slider on top, but I can slide that slider about halfway out and then hop on the slider and reach in here and get the stuff out that I need. So I'm going to cut some nice rectangles out of here that just allow me to get into this area when I need to. Okay, we're getting ready to make the slide on top. We got the holes cut in the top there so I can access the back 4 feet of my toolbox. And this is the 3/4 inch piece that we're gonna have as a slide on top. This is a smooth side. I think I'm gonna flip it. This side isn't as nice, but I might cover it anyway. I'll definitely be painting it. And it's just gonna get scratched up from tools anyway. That way the smooth side's down that runs on the rollers. But I gotta cut it to length to start off with. All right, so this is the top piece that I'm gonna have, the slider, and I'm gonna just cut a sliver off of it so it's slightly under 4 feet so it slides better with whatever mechanism I end up using to hold the top in place. And, I mean, we are just gonna maybe pick a 1/4 inch. And now we're gonna put our edges on. I just cut some 2x4s. Rip them down. Using this mainly because it was cheap at Walmart. Cutting some drawer fronts today. We can't let this go any deeper than where the spirals end. So we're gonna put a bunch of screws in here. Just eyeballing this. And I'm not going to chamfer these because I want the heads to not go any deeper than the surface. Ooh, I went too deep on that one. Not good. We're going to tighten that hole back up, put a couple toothpicks with some glue on it, shove it in there, break it off. Now take a screw, and we're not going to over tighten this, but we are just going to put a screw in there. Wow, tighten that right up. Got a tiny little tip coming through here. Sand these edges. The more coats of this stuff you put on, the darker it gets. I have some sand lines there that I was a little bit of a hurry, but it's a toolbox, not a curio cabinet. If it's too pretty, I won't want to use it. I bought these the other day off of Amazon, and I think this is what I'm going to use for keeping my slider from tipping forward. I don't like the size of these wheels. I may end up replacing them down the road, but we're going to try them at least and see how it goes. So what I'll do is I'll mount these at the farthest point forward that I think I'm going to pull my slider. I'm thinking it's probably going to be right in there, and that will keep it from tipping forward. Like I can't see any myself pulling any farther than that right there. That's where we'll put them. One thing I'm gonna have to do though with this is put a second hole right here so I can bolt that on. I can put one there, but that's just gonna be onto the plywood. I wanna have two into this 2x12. What's nice about these is they are adjustable. So you can adjust this wheel up and down wherever you want it. It's just I'm not sure I like the size of that bolt. That's not very big. It'd be nice to have a drill press for this. Now we got to get this slide centered the best we can so we get the same amount of play on each side. All right, so about 1/4 inch per side is what we got. Oh, we got to deburr the bottom of this. Not good. Much better. I'm going to leave a little bit of play. So we're basically just going to put that equal with the edge. So we're going to scoot this over. So that's about where we're going to mount this. So we're going to measure so we get it equal on each side. So I'm going to have this, the edge of this bracket right on the line. And there's a screw right there. Can't do that. So I have to move it back a little bit. Anybody else have a knack for putting things right on the screws or the nails underneath? It happens to me all the time. Now we're going to drive our screws in. Now we'll put a screw right here just because it's here, even though it's not going to hold a whole lot. There we go, one side done, one side to go. I'll put these brackets about right equal with the edge of the box so it won't be sticking out or anything. Pull it back forward. Guess that's what the handle's for. Okay, now we'll just put these wheels on. Let's see how it works. Okay, so my board must get thicker as it goes back here. Actually, this just isn't spinning at all. So I've tightened these wheels down too tight. I actually need to get on the nut and tighten it so that the wheel can turn. I think that'll work. My boards must be a little bit thicker back there because it kind of gets a little bit tight, which is fine because it slows it down from hitting back at the back. Now I just got to deal with this problem down here, and we're ready to put this in almost. So when the temperature changes and it gets warm, then they expand, and that extra expansion kind of bubbles them up. But when it's cold, it lays them back flat. So I hope that putting them in between here, I don't still have bubbling. If I do, I'm going to have to come back in and cut them so that I don't have as long a strip. Does that make sense? All right, so got all those screwed down flat now. So we have one more thing to do. At the front of this box, I'm going to put a couple, I can't remember what these are called, but I'm going to hook it to the front of the truck so that it can't slide back and forth or sideways. So we're going to put an eye hook in here, and then we're going to attach it to the bed. We're going to attach it right there to that U-bolt. So it's going to have to be right at the front of the box, pretty much. All right, so we're getting ready to put this in the truck. So we got to take these wheels off so we can get the top off of here. So we'll put these back on once we get it in the truck. So that's all there is to taking the slide off. Just got to take those little pieces out, and this top just comes right off. I'm just going to lean it right against here. The plan is I'm going to set this piece of slick plastic in there, put the box in, and then slide the plastic out. And we're racing the rain. But I gotta lift that up over those wheel wells. All right, so I gotta come up higher on this eye bolt so that I can get some tension on those, because those are already maxed. They're already as small as they can get. So I'm going to put a hole in the front of this so that when we go to pull it out, we can put a string on it or something to kind of pull on it.
Hey.
All right, we're centered up. We got those turnbuckles tightened back there a little bit. So now we're going to try to slide this plastic out. Now for the top. So I hope it makes sense why I cut those sections out up there. It was because when I have this trailer on right here, I only have about 4 feet that I can pull those drawers out. So if I really want something out there, out of the back, I can keep these drawers pushed in all the way. I can pull this forward and I can climb up there and get those rarely used tools. So I'm gonna have most of the tools I use normally on a regular basis right up front here so I can easily grab them. This is gonna be a work in progress because I have no idea where I'm gonna put anything yet. So I'm just gonna start putting things in that I know I'm gonna use on a regular basis and get some of these drawers loaded up.